Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike.
Well, wow, such bravery showed by Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough of Morning Joe. Yes, this is a big story, apparently. In fact, I made another video about this, but from the point of view of Megyn Kelly and Glenn Greenwald. Today we're going to see what Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks has to say about this amazing 180 by Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, who went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. Or I'm sure they're not going to put it that way. They probably went there to speak truth to power or something like that. Let's see what Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks has to say.
The hosts over at Morning Joe are facing quite a bit of backlash after they decided to visit Donald Trump for a delightful meal over at Mar-a-Lago following Trump's victory in the presidential election, of course. And this is after they basically spent years calling him a dangerous, dictatorial man. Now, they said that they talked about many issues, including abortion, mass deportations, and the threats of retribution against political and media opponents. And here's their explanation as to why they decided to work with Trump after years of fear-mongering about his authoritarian nature.
In this meeting, President Trump was tearful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Now, President-elect Donald Trump has also confirmed that this meeting did in fact take place. And in an interview with Fox News, he says many things were discussed, and I very much appreciated the fact that they wanted to have open communication. In many ways, it's too bad that it wasn't done long ago. He added that they congratulated me on running a great and flawless campaign, one for the history books, which I really believe it was, but it was also a campaign where I worked long and hard, that's what she said, perhaps longer and harder than any presidential candidate in history. Now, according to Fox News, the president-elect also said that he has an obligation to the American public and to our country itself to be open and available to the press. Admirable thing to say, but then he continues, if not treated fairly, however, that will end. The media is very important to the long-term success of the United States of America. Fox and Friends also made sure to heap praise on Trump for agreeing to meet with the Morning Joe crew, calling him magnanimous. And now Mika and Joe are getting a lot of backlash, which we'll give you a little taste of in just a minute. But before you guys hear everyone else's comments about this, you should hear what Cenk has to say. Cenk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so look, this one's complicated for 2 reasons. So first, should you reach out on things that you agree on? Well, of course you should. So I've never understood this thing where people that are either Democrats or on the left say, no, out of spite, we shouldn't work with Trump on things that we agree with him on, like anti-war. Why? Why not take the win? Take the win, right? So if Trump agrees with me on something, I'm not gonna fight him just because he's Trump or on the other team. That's crazy, right? I would in fact help to try to get those things passed, as long as we agree, right? Now, do you think that Morning Joe, and Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski went there to fight for paid family leave, fight for the anti-war position, fight for some policy? No, they went to go fight for their own ass.
100%.
So all they're doing is kissing up to him now to get access. So proof's always going to be in the pudding. So you'll see us criticize Trump, and you'll see us agree on the rare occasions that we agree. And you saw us doing that when we, during Trump 1, during all of these years, right? Those guys, on the other hand, Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler. Oh, Trump won? Time to kiss some ass, go down.
Wow, look at Jank. Yeah, he's absolutely right. It's pretty much what Glenn Greenwald said too. They went to kiss the ring, kiss ass, suck up to Trump. They need him. They literally need him. Their ratings are apparently have completely bottomed out. They need somebody to watch their show. They need to do, and apparently viewers, there's just not that many viewers who want to hear day in and day out that Trump is a fascist, Trump is a Nazi, Trump is a racist, Trump is a bigot, Trump is a white supremacist, Trump is this, Trump is that. Yeah, apparently they need that Trump magic to get those ratings up. There's only one man who can push. I mean, they're not going to get their ratings up any other way, are they? They're horrible. Only one man who can do it. They need that old Trump magic.
Down to Mar-a-Lago, have some breakfast, etc. And Trump said, well, we agreed on some cabinet picks. I'm sure you did. The corporate ones, Rubio, Stefanik, etc. They were probably like, oh, corporate tax cuts. They're going to be right back on board with Trump, in it, as you'll see in a minute, right? So you think they're going to hold him accountable? No. Their whole shtick is kiss the ass of the powerful. So this is not at all surprising.
Well, Joe Scarborough was very friendly to Donald Trump when he was first running for president in 2016. I don't know what exactly happened that made their relationship go south. Scarborough certainly soured on Donald Trump.
According to me, I said this in the other video on this same subject, I'm sure it was when Trump made that very spicy tweet about Mika Brzezinski, whom he said he had seen at Mar-a-Lago looking pretty haggard and bleeding and looking haggard, something like that, because having just had her latest facelift or something like that. It was an outrageous tweet, which I found hilarious, but of course heads exploded, and I think that might have had something to do with the souring of relations.
Trump, but look, I think that it's likely, you're right, that they want access to Trump. There's also some possibility that they're genuinely worried that Trump might come after them because he has threatened people in the media who have, in his words, been unfair to him.
Come after them? How can Trump come after them? That's right. I mean, if they commit a crime or if they break the rules of the, whatever that agency is that's in charge of media and communications in the States, I can't remember right now. Yeah, I mean, there are broadcasting regulations and stuff. How else can Trump come after them? These people, they live in a fantasy world.
So who knows? I mean, look, Mika Brzezinski just a few weeks ago was on The View breaking down about the prospect of Donald Trump winning the election because she was so afraid of the fascists taking over.
Like, and I thought the same thing. This is much lower probability in my opinion, but it's not impossible. They thought, yeah, he might lock up his political opponents, so let's make sure that we're not part of the resistance, that we go tell him we will serve him loyally as long as he doesn't do anything to us, right? And so why did they turn on him? Trump did his usual personal insults to Mika Brzezinski, etc. And so I don't, right? And I don't mind Mika and Joe Scarborough catching feelings over that. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. And also they're on MSNBC, so they had to pretend to be against Donald Trump. In reality, they don't care at all. All they care about is tax cuts for the rich and the establishment and the status quo. And if Trump gives it to them, they're ecstatic about it. If the Democrats give it to them, they're ecstatic about it. And as long as they're at the epicenter of the establishment, they're happy as they can be. They've never really cared.
So here is how everyone else reacted to the news that they had that dinner at Mar-a-Lago.
The grotesque fawning and rationalizing for a man who is promising, in his words, to be an autocrat. A general who served as Donald Trump's longest-serving chief of staff said, yes, he's a fascist. We have Donald Trump, who was hostile for so long to NATO.
Right, still is.
Who embraced authoritarian thugs, and the least democratic and the most authoritarian leader in Europe, Viktor Orban. This is Donald Trump's hero in Europe. It's who he says he wants to be like. This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them. Do I think that Donald Trump's going to be allowed to line people up against the wall and shoot them? No, he'd like to. No doubt. I know him, and I've known him for a long time, and we can see this. He would like to. He's not going to be allowed to. But if he says, I'm going to take the FEC and I'm going to bring it into the White House and I'm going to decide who's going to be on TV and who's not going to be on TV,
Believe him.
So all those comments that Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough made prior to the election has now led to people dunking on them. And I will allow it because it's totally justified. Scott Jennings writes on Twitter, Hitler getting a lot more meeting requests than I would have thought. You have Republicans against Trump saying this is why people don't trust the mainstream media anymore. Bingo. Joe and Mika, who constantly attack fascist Trump on their show, went to Mar-a-Lago to talk with Trump over the weekend. And look, some Trump fans felt differently. They see that this could be just a new era in America where the media is a little more fair to Trump. So Piers Morgan, for instance, says, wow, wasn't expecting this, but good for them. America needs to come together again. But the damage has been done. Okay, so look, you know how I felt about the fear mongering that was taking place among Democrats and, you know, their mouthpieces in cable news. Just lean into fear, scare the bejesus out of American voters about Trump. He's Hitler, he's a fascist, he's gonna come for you, he's gonna put us in internment camps. Not only does this totally deteriorate trust in the media, but even worse, look, we oftentimes talk about right-wingers who use violent rhetoric that could inspire people who are not all there, right? People who might have some mental issues, mental illnesses, to carry out acts of violence. So how is it any different when Democrats do it?
Indeed, how is it any different when Democrats do it? Yeah, very good question, Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. Some of those tweets dunking on Morning Joe were pretty funny. Yeah. Very interesting. Not much more I can add to that. I'm sure we're going to see more of this as these corporate media hacks realize that they are nothing. They are literally nothing without Trump. They've burnt up any trust they had over the years of their nonstop attacks against Trump. People are, basically people are seeing through their lies. Sorry, but it's true. Yeah. It's not, people don't distrust the media because Trump says to distrust the media. People distrust the media because they have eyes and ears to see and hear with. As I told my family years ago, back when we kind of used to talk about politics, I didn't get radicalized by right-wingers. I got radicalized, so to speak, by left-wingers and leftists and their madness, their craziness, their unwillingness to look at facts in the face and to accept reality for what it is. So it all goes together. This is looking to be a very interesting second term for Trump, and it hasn't even started yet. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and in the meantime, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.